brought to you today by Outlandish Media. This segment in particular, this show is called Outlandish with Boone. I am Boone. What I'm doing today is giving you my review of a movie that recently came out. The movie is Highest to Lowest by Spike Lee. Now, this is a film starring the pantheon of actors, Denzel Washington, one of the greatest actors of all time, the best African American actor, and literally top three greatest actors. Literally, this movie, Highest to Lowest, is heralded by Denzel Washington as one of his last five movies. So for me, I hadn't realized it came out. It was literally last week. I was going to see this movie called F1, and I was looking at the show times, and I seen Highest to Lowest, and I literally almost deviated. I almost pivoted in mid plan to see Highest to Lowest, and I was fortunate enough to have Apple Plus, Apple TV, and literally last night I turned on the TV to go watch this amazing TV series called Foundation on Apple TV, and I see the movie Highest to Lowest, directed by, for me, who is an icon, Spike Lee. It's a Spike Lee joint. It's listed for free, and as Joe Rogan says, it's for free. I love free as much as I love free like it's my mama, my daughter, and free. I love free. When something's on the side of the road and that shit says free, I veer off. I look. I almost hit three babies, joking, being hyperbolic here, but I almost literally stopped and took some free stuff off the road. So when I came across Highest to Lowest on Apple Plus, I was like, Foundation who? I put that on. I'm like a Spike Lee joint Friday night. My girl upstairs watching The West Wing. So I was downstairs about to watch me some more Foundation. If you haven't seen Foundation, if you like a TV show, check it out. If I'm not mistaken, Foundation is um, written by Isaac Asimov, but that's not what we're here to talk about. I'm here to give you my reaction of, a movie directed by one of the greatest, a very very good movie director, someone, for me, thinking about just positive African American figures, Spike Lee. When I think about me in this moment, in the midst of writing my own screenplay, the title for that is actually Free Money. I'm in the midst of writing that. Not gonna give you guys any more details, but soon to come. Once I write that, I actually have in my mind the cast that I really feel like I can shoot it with. So for me, getting back to Highest to Lowest and just like what Spike Lee means to, someone biracial but raised in an African American household. I often mistaken as Spanish. The Migos argue with me a few times every year. Motherfucker, you are Spanish. And I'm like, no, motherfucker, I'm not. But nigga, can I come to the quinceanera? But well, my invite. But Highest to Lowest. Um, went into it with very high expectations. How can I not? Jeffrey Wright's amazing. You tell me Jeffrey Wright's in a movie, I usually do not need to ask who else in that movie. Wendell Price, maybe Wendell Pierce. He was in it. He's been in so many movies. Great actor. Spike Lee joint. Enough said. It's like M. Night Shyamalan. You know it's gonna be the good with the bad, but damn it, you're generally leaving satisfied. Like I spent some money, didn't I got it for the free, but if you had spent some money, you're hopefully like it's a sure bet in certain instances that you're gonna leave satisfied. And frankly, I did not leave uh, feeling like, oh, I can't wait to come back. I have no intentions of watching Highest to Lowest again. I think about Spike Lee and just like having the fortunate, being fortunate enough to have access to such amazing, um, actors: Denzel Washington, Jeffrey Wright, Wendell Pierce, ASAP Rocky, so many people, and a budget that's one would imagine substantial enough to truly come up with an outline, have a plan, and execute that to your set expectations. And what I left feeling like I can clearly see that this man is, up in age. With Spike Lee, if I'm fortunate enough to have you watch this, just know I'm a fan, and if I ever see you, I'm gonna fanboy up. I'm gonna try to take a picture and be like, sign this shirt, son, not this shirt, not this shirt, but the shirt I have on in that instance. If I'm fortunate enough to ever come across you, and if you come across this video, know I'm gonna say some shit that you probably not gonna like, homie, but I hope you watch it to the end because you know it's easy to be on the sidelines and say that movie was whack as fuck. Yo, that movie was not great, son. I went on to IMDb and they gave that shit a 6.3, son. I was like, that's a 5. That's a 5, being generous. I was high and didn't like it. I watched that movie and I was like, damn, Denzel could improv this to a 7 at all. Like, my nigga, like, I went in there and my takeaways, I'm gonna give you quite a bit of them, but like, I could clearly see watching that movie that you have a love for New York. I could see just like the way the aerial view of the city and numerous shots were just so crisply executed, and just like the way you went about capturing the city from so many angles. It was, I mean, your eye and your attention to detail, it's what I imagine one of the key components that got you to where you are. But in this movie, I can see that your passions must have shifted. Either solicited Denzel Washington, or he was like, I'm doing 5 more movies. This is gonna be the end of my career. Spike Lee's one of the directors. These other people are gonna be some of the directors. Black Panther is gonna be the director. All black folks, I'm not mistaken. I love Denzel because the way he views African Americans, the emphasis he's put on black women and just black culture, and the way he's upheld himself into the standards he's reached for and consistently, executed and met to give African Americans, put us in a good light. For me, that's paramount. It's how can I enhance my current status in life, and how can that path also coincide with me enhancing the people's views of African Americans. How can I allow my behavior to be an instrumental tool and being the foundation for networking, partnerships, relationships, etc. So going back to the movie's highest to lowest, pack out the trunk, out the trunk, out the back. ASAP Rocky's song was the best fucking part of that movie. Like, dog, when the police came in, I was like, fuck, that's B-list movie, yo. That's B-list movie. Red alert, red alert. I thought I was on the motherfucking bridge of the Star Trek Enterprise, nigga. I was about to go fight the fucking Borg when I seen that B-list ass acting. Excuse my French, Spike. You better than that, nigga. Like, how the fuck you gonna call that shit a Spike Lee joint when you only got an executive producer credit? How's the paperwork being done with that choppy ass edited movie? Did you have final say? How are you not getting a producer credit? I really wanted to look up and see if Spike Lee, see if Spike has children. Spike Lee joint. If he has any children, because I'm watching the movie and I'm thinking about like Jeffrey Wright's character, and like literally when homie got in that nice ass Rolls Royce and dude gave him the documents, I was like, that's the op. How the fuck I'm supposed to know the first time I see this nigga that he's the motherfucking op, homie? Like, damn. And this nigga turned out to be the op. Spoilers, y'all. If y'all haven't seen it, go watch it. But watch this, and you're gonna be like, he was right. But I'm gonna spoil some shit as well. That shit's about to be left the fuck out. It's about to be milk you can't use tomorrow. You feel me? Because I'm gonna give you all the tea. That movie pissed me the fuck off. Because if you give me a free movie and you can't entice my ass to come back, oh my god. Spike Lee, dog. The documents, the paperwork, the ownership, just like you at a point in your career where it's like if someone comes to me, if someone of Denzel Washington's stature comes to me and they say you are going to be one of my last 5 movies, no way in hell I'm gonna be using the script from what was it? The highest to lowest was based on, I think, the Tower Heist script. And it's just like, bro, you got these amazing actors. It's like, some rappers, they will have already written songs. Some rappers, literally, all they need is a day in the studio, a beat, and they're gonna literally construct and write that song based on that beat. And they're gonna manufacture that song from the ground up. Like, if someone comes to me and says, you have all of these amazing actors, you know This is when ideal shooting will optimally begin based on, someone at Denzel Washington's age. He probably has a tight schedule. So it's like you have parameters working. So, you know, hopefully, like Spike Lee, you're just in the lab cooking every now and then. Like I've seen different people talk and people who are writers, screenplay writers, who's like, I make myself write, and if I go a day without writing, I am writing that next day, and it's like I'm a writer. I have not taken actual steps to produce content in a manner that I really believe in my heart as a fan, but as a person who aspires to one day create something, I haven't done enough to really come at you and critique your work in a manner, because no disrespect intended, but I watched that movie and it's just like, Apple obviously, in the beginning of the movie let us know, yo, we bankrolled this, like, but once again, it's a Spike Lee joint, but you got executive credit. So real talk, it's like, is it a Spike Lee joint? Like, I felt like, I'm sitting in the best friend's, passenger side of my best friend's ride. Like, I'm at the club and, my homie handed me a joint, and I'm looking at the little fly hottie next to me, a little bitty, who probably got a young YN nigga at home, you feel me? And I'm like, yo, you want to hit this joint? And that nigga's like, that's my joint, son. But yo, her sexy ass could probably hit it too, though. But don't be offering my shit around, son. So back to Spike Lee. Is it a Spike Lee joint if you're only executive producing that shit? And haven't you done enough financially, with not only what I would count niggas pockets and shit, but I imagine your reserve funds, Denzel Washington, Jeffrey Wright, like y'all can easily come up with the, easy 70 mil to make sure that only niggas that are ownership of Denzel Washington's last 5 movies is someone African American or y'all niggas, you feel me? But the truth be told, you knew that script was whacked in the motherfucker. You knew that screenplay was whack. And you knew that Denzel Washington, a Spike Lee joint, Apple motherfucking pocketbook couldn't save that whack shit. But what I took away when I watched it was someone who was clearly at the end of their movie making, a period. This just felt like it's no longer your thing. I really felt like you really embodied a lot of characteristics of Denzel Washington's character. He was at the point where he loved the business side, but as we pointed out, you were only executive producer, but he was more in love with the business side versus, the actual content, the actual creation, the actual music itself. And I'm looking at this movie and how choppily edited it was, like, this sloppy dialogue, rudimentary dialogue for such intellectual individuals and just such amazing actors. You could have literally told them what you wanted to capture and what you wanted the sentiment of the scene to be and just let them freestyle it. But the clunky dialogue was noticeable. There was a scene where Denzel Washington was with his son and the son was disrespecting him, and I felt like he must have went off script and really just did some shit where I was like, in my opinion, the best scene of the whole entire movie. It was the most well acted scene. And just like going back to the overall movie, that was a shit show on a Saturday night, enhanced by some, Smirnoff or some shit. It wasn't even no Top Chef booze. It's like, what are we accomplishing here? What are we doing here? So just the ownership side and my takeaway, not having in depth view of the contracts, where it's like you look at a Ryan Coogler, and he shows us not even a year ago how ownership can be how the pinnacle of ownership looks when you're African American, man or a woman, individual dealing with these big ass corporations, yo. Like, nigga, you got motherfucking Denzel Washington and Jeffrey Wright. You got the fucking leverage at a fucking minimum, nigga. You don't get a motherfucking producer credit. That shit's crazy. I am making these videos because I feel I have something to say. I've gone through adversity. Myself. I work for the county, and getting to the point where I get a following, enough people that want to subscribe and watch me, maybe make some money and just really enhance the equipment, the environment which I film these, you know, videos, and ultimately continue to write my screenplay and get enough capital to where when I do begin filming that movie, that for me, I will be aided by, immense amount of equipment that I feel like I can procure in a very appropriate amount of time to truly execute this movie in a manner that I can get this seen by real individuals. And that's my aspiration. So if you watch this, just know there will be more videos to come. I will range from serious topics. It's called Outlandish Entertainment because I feel like the landscape in which we live in this day and age is like you can truly just report something as it's coming and just like that it's outlandish than a mother effer. And I'm gonna be giving you a range of things that hopefully range from comedic, something to make you say that dude's pretty funny, and it's gonna hopefully be some things that dude's truly informacal. Has quite a vast amount of information that I leave feeling, enriched, and that's my goal. So you'll see that like button and you'll see that subscribe button. And I truly hope you guys comment. I truly hope you guys give me something to back and forth you with. I love a good conversation. So this will be going on YouTube. I will be, at some point putting the audio aspect of the videos on iHeart and just expanding from there. My aspirations are endless, and for me, this is the first step. This is the initial moment in which I've gone through the Stargate and I landed on P23X1 and I'm about to meet Tilk. But this is a one-man show with very rudimentary equipment and with the help of you individuals and the consistency in which I hope to, deliver content will hopefully be a deciding factor in how that equipment grows and how the environment which I deliver and, my ability to zoom out 0.5 so you guys can truly see, some of the things that are monumental to me. But, back to pack out the trunk, out the front, out the back. ASAP Rocky, I feel like such a young man, and just like if I'm writing a screenplay with someone that I believe may have the ability to shine in not only this film but more, I want to write that script in a way that allows him to really interact with Denzel. And there was really only one or two lengthy moments where on screen they were interacting. So it's like, how much actual interaction did those individuals have in person? And just the passing of the baton and just the manner in which just seeing a Denzel operate, how that gives you information. So it's like I watched the movie Dope. I seen ASAP Rocky, how his character was portrayed in that movie. And in my opinion, that character had way more substance in which you gave this man, almost 10 years later in his life. So it's like you were a person that holds yourself, I know from looking at you, from the outside looking in, at a very high stature. And you did nothing to enhance this man's abilities. That was the brilliance of a Phil Jackson. He was able to take certain skill sets, certain prowesses, and enhance those, from a variety of standpoints. And in this movie, you had so many innate tools of such precision, ability, caliber, in these actors, in this budget, in the equipment that you have, and that you deliver such inferior product. It's just like it's really just like the pre-dynastic Egyptians pottery in comparison to that pottery that they claim is not 10,000 plus years old. That is precise in every manner. It's like you were Spike Lee and you did not deliver what I have come accustomed to associate with Spike Lee joints. You gave me what I truly left feeling like was quite the inferior product. I feel like if I'm Denzel Washington and my plan was to make 5 movies, Spike Lee, this other director, this movie, and I'm out this motherfucker. Like, he gotta make another motherfucking movie because he don't want your raggedy ass shit associated with his legacy. Denzel, if you see this, homie, leave a comment. Show me you saw this. I'm sorry that you gotta make now 6 movies, homie, because this movie was so whack. I know how you felt when you watched it, because I watched it and I was like, that hurt me. That hurt my soul. So, Spike Lee, I hope you turned on this video, and I hope you've made it to this moment, and I truly hope that you if you plan to make more movies, you get that pack out the trunk from the front to the back, and you make it do what it do something, because this movie did not do what it do something. This movie was boo boo. It was boo boo. So criticism aside, let me get some actual tangible feedback. It's like You got Jeffrey Wright, who was obviously told y'all spoilers, but he was obviously associated with Young Felon. He was obviously in league with Young Felon. He obviously had animosity towards Denzel Washington's character, who has been taking care of him and giving him, quality enough life to be potentially the only parental figure in his son's life. You never showed homie's mom. This dude must not have had a mother because he's been kidnapped and we haven't seen his mom. So I imagine, like he's the sole parent. This dude has full custody. He's living an amazing life, what I imagine, being associated with a music mogul that's been in the game for X amount of years and, in the midst of potentially going through a number of business moves that will level up his stature, for time to come. So it's like you've been taken care of, as Denzel Washington character said, and I quote, "You haven't had to ask for anything." To have someone that loves you so much that you are so taken care of that when you think about your next one, that you don't have to ask because that's already been thought of and provided. So it was animosity, it was greed. His motivation was, I don't want to have to be a nigga anymore that's being taken care of. I want to be the man who take care of other people. I want to be you, and I want to take all that you have. So he doesn't go to jail. ASAP Rocky's character, like most people, will, take the fall. And I don't agree with snitching. If you do a dirty deed with a person and you guys are in league and y'all do a crime, in my opinion, if you telling that person, that is snitching, you know? So I get, the ethics, especially being a rapper in the movie and why you wouldn't, telling Jeffrey Wright. But telling the police Jeffrey Wright was the main key culprit, the architect of this crime. And really, I'm just a young person who had a lot of animosity towards Denzel Washington character because after so much love that I've poured into this person, naming my son after him, idolizing you from up close and afar, knowing everything about your life, dreaming about one day partaking with you, looking at your penthouse from the bridge, which was never shown in the movie. Never shown in the movie. It was those really nice aerial shots of New York, but you never gave us that substance. He's in all these press shoots and it's all this movie, promotion, and this man was literally more portrayed to have done things but only got so much screen time. What you gave us was what appeared to be a very, well in depth, very intricate planned heist. There was an individual on the train who stopped it. There was a person who caught the bag who is now, riding off with it. You had the decoy person with all the tampons. You have all of these layers and layers upon this crime, but ultimately we find all that money under the bed. And you point out that the YNs always do the dumbass thing by putting the money under the bed. Well, old ass niggas write movies, don't put substance in that shit. Why is that? So this was a very inferior product. I think IMDb was very generous when they were like, "This is a 6.3." I think it was a 5. I would probably never watch it again. And frankly, this wasn't one of my intended videos, but after watching, I was like, I gotta let the people know, watch it, but just know it's landmines there, and you might wanna watch out. Watch out. Hey, don't spend your money to go see that. Better go get Apple Plus, from one of these little promotional things, little 99 cents for 3 months, and then after that you can cancel. Check out Foundation, watch that free ass movie that if you spent your money and you went out on Friday or Saturday night with your woman, movie tickets are expensive. I love the movie theater. I went all through COVID. I've gone and seen so many movies that I knew would be free because I love that experience. But one outing, if it's not just you alone, is probably going to be upwards to $100. These are experiences, and that's what I hope a Spike Lee joint of the caliber that was presented to me with the likes of Denzel Washington, Jeffrey Wright, and ASAP Rocky, for the best thing of that movie to be that one scene with Denzel and his son where he came up and reminded me of Training Day. And I ain't gay. So I ain't got nothing against gay people. I love y'all. I love the Rainbow Crew. I got a rainbow shirt and I rep y'all, but I'm not. That ain't me. Denzel had that sexy ass haircut. He had that sexy Training Day haircut. He had that Denzel acting. You feel me? And really, like, you were handed the game and you fumbled it. And that movie was boo boo in a way that it's just like ASAP Rocky's character took a plea deal for 25 years. He's like, yo, sign me to your record label. He's all confident. Like, I mean, are they gonna let you record more? We've seen what happened with Tory Lanez. Like, no offense, telling Jeffrey Wright, dude, get out because, maybe you can maybe you can get out and keep making music, but like this dude was so insidious that he put his own son at risk, and he's still in the beehive, messing with Denzel and potentially gonna try to kidnap the homie's son again. Like, and you just gonna take the fall for this nigga, this old head ass nigga. Envy has been taken care of, and you over here in the hood wanted to record after you do a big ass heist. You had all the intricacies in that heist, but this man sitting here recording in the same studio he was doing before. He got 17.5 million, yo. He ain't got no plan after he gets the money. He so thought he wasn't gonna succeed that he was gonna get the money and have a get out plan. This nigga's still in New York. That's what I love about ASAP Rocky. That nigga's so New York. He's so New York. You can hear in his tone. But ASAP Rocky, when we gonna get some more music, B? Weren't you doing like a promotional thing where you like my album's coming? I almost bought that shit early, son, last motherfucking year, G. This time last year, you had the little link. I almost went. I sat and I looked through the little pictures, yo. I was like, ASAP Rocky about to drop a album, yo. You popping out Kins with that sexy ass Rihanna, yo. She's beautiful, B. As you pointed out, pack out the trunk from the front, from the back. Still 36 and I'm perfect. Like, yeah. Like, yo. How you not got her singing on the hook? You over here promoting the album and this a year later still haven't come out? I went to the Apple Music, Joe. I saw the only new song was this Trunk. Best part of that little Spike Lee movie. I hate to criticize black men. I hate to downplay people's work. I hate to go down there and be like, yo, that shit was whack as hell. She had no soul, bro. Had no substance. Whoever got the final cut right, they edited a very poor movie. But it was B list in parts. How you gonna have the pinnacle of A list and that movie was B list in parts? I remember watching Mo Better Blues. I remember watching all your movies and just like feeling what it meant to be black excellence. In this moment, this was not black excellence. This was not movie excellence. This was not worth a second viewing. So if you get a chance, check out Highest to Lowest. It's free on Apple TV. It's the garbage upon garbage, but hey, I feel like time is our land. Time is our real estate. So I won't say go waste 2.5 hours, but if you got 2.5 hours that you just don't mind flushing down the toilet after a nice steamy bottle come out, go ahead and watch that shit and tell me if I was right or not, if I was being too hard. So once again, my name is Boone. This is Outlandish Entertainment. This show is Outlandish with Boone. I got more coming for you. I got a whole list of episodes that cater to a wide range of just things that are meaningful and matter to me. And I have no sponsors in this moment. I'm really hoping that even in some of what may appear to be angry moments at this amazing movie that I truly hope you guys go and watch. And I was like, maybe y'all might want to get Apple Music and try to sell y'all on some stuff that I definitely am not going to get any proceeds for to watch what is probably going to be a cost-based thing if you don't have it streaming from the free place. And a lot of people are going to pay that money on, Prime and whatever to watch it. And I hope you do, because once again, it showed many elements would just showed African American people in a lovely light and lovely environments, and just and having the kind of dialogues, even though I thought it was cringe and just not well planned and thought out and just like very lackluster and quite unimaginative, frankly. But so the movie wasn't all garbage. It wasn't, but just so much more in comparison to like garbage versus like tangible takeaways. And oh, that enriched me. I watched that and that enriched me, and it did not. I would imagine Spike Lee doesn't have children. I'm going to research you more, because as much as I love you as a person and have loved many of your films in the past, I realized that I don't know much about you, the individual, but I fathom that maybe you don't have any children, because the kind of individual that would devise a plan, Jeffrey Wright's character, that would devise a plan that could very well lead to their offspring getting hurt. Like, this is a kidnapping where your son is going to be in the midst of this kidnapping. What if he puts up a fight? What if that person gets hurt? So the kind of diabolical person that would then had to plan to not only, kidnap his friend's son, this person who had been taking care of him for probably upwards of the last 20 years, giving him all that he could want and more, that level of greed and just unloyal nature, but now I'm going to devise a plan that actually puts my son at risk. And you just see the tit for tat response when they get his son back, and it's just like, oh my god, this movie is childish in so many ways. And it's just like the probability that this kind of stuff is going to happen in real life, probably a lot higher than I care to confess, based on the day and age that we live in. But truthfully, that was the most boo boo movie I've seen in a long time, and I actually opened myself up to quite a number of B list movies, and I find the love in so many movies. But I digress. That comic right there behind me, second appearance again, but really the first cover appearance, and touted as the first cover, well, first appearance of Gambit. But truthfully, there's a comic book where he actually appears in the, enter to the story, and that is a very prized possession of mine. I love media, I love literature, and I love writing, and in the midst of taking a lot of inspiration from a lot of what I talked about today. So Spike Lee, thank you. I hope if you create more, like, you really have that producer credit. I really hope it is a Spike Lee joint, that Spike Lee rolled and announced anointing, and we just getting highest to lowest. With that said, Outlandish Entertainment, Outlandish with Boom. With that said, peace. Come back soon. I'll talk to you guys again. But you don't gotta take my word for it.